I love it when the Hawks Agency team gets together and we have some of the best conversations. So I thought, let's record some of these and share it with the people out in the internet world.
Let's do it.
So today we were having a conversation because we talk culture, we talk values, that Monica has recently read an article in Fast Company about Chick-Fil-A, who, you know, gets all kinds of conversations around them from both sides, right and left, on their values, on their practices, on their standards, on all the things. And this article in Fast Company kind of brought to light some other aspects of things they've been putting in motion and the way they're serving. So, Monica, give us a kind of an overview of it, because it had like the chicken with a halo and the chicken with the horns facing each other.
I think it might be called Chick-Fil-A Testament or something like that.
The New Testament.
The New Testament, yeah. And so it kind of dives into really their customer service and their excellence there, and what are the values that they established from the beginning, really, that led to this standard of excellence that goes across every franchise and store that they own.
They're so consistent. Any Chick-fil-A you go to across the nation, you get the same service.
And like, spoiler alert, it is because they have such strong values and such a strong why that is just infiltrated into every single thing that any standard that they have such a strong why that upholds it, that it's just it's amazing. And so it dives into that, but then it also goes into like the line that they tote as an organization and the executives who are faith-filled and faith-based, and really how they have offended both sides of the left and the right, in really
on the political spectrums.
Yes, on the political spectrums. And so the article looks and kind of magnifies those a little bit and gives voice to them in a few different ways. But it really defines that they are riding a very fine line, and really their values are costing them that. So that they have to be very careful, you know, in how they articulate. They're not changing that mindset, but what they are doing is they are changing their language in a lot of different aspects. And so it was just a really interesting article.
Well, you said they're not changing their mindsets, but you also said they've made new alliances, brought in some advisors, and so they're gaining an understanding in this mindset, which is shifting some of the language, but still keeps their primary beliefs intact.
Yes, yeah. And so, and also being able to respectfully separate their personal opinions from the business. Right. And to recognize that anytime they speak publicly, that they
from
represent
the business.
They represent the business.
Well, what I love about John working in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and servicing the whole community, one of the things when we were talking, John was like, I've got personal experience with those values infiltrating our whole society, basically, in Shawnee. Tell us about how you've created a partnership with them, or they've with you, and how they're utilizing, how you see those values come to play in a community.
Well, I think one of the things for a global brand, for it to feel global and always be interacted on a local level. And so I think all of us know what it's like for them to innovate in their drive-through lines, but we may not know what it's like to see those values of how they integrate into a community, how they serve people, how they have a posture of service from every person in the line when you're getting your food, to the owner operator that runs the store, to the global brand itself. And so at Potawatomi Go, one of our partners being that local organization, that local business, Jeff Madison, shout out to him. He is an incredible representation of those values expressed in their community. To say, hey, guess what? We care about our community having access to a life of flourishing through our nonprofits. Hey, we care about measuring that with good data and efficiency. Hey, we care about seeing those values expressed in how they interact with other businesses in town.
So how have you seen that play out at street level? So we value these things, therefore here's what we're doing, right? The values only matter if they show up in behaviors and in actions.
That's right. So a good example is their partnership with one of our local tribes. They have a semi-pro basketball team. With Potawatomi Go, we're providing a community health needs assessment. One of the things that's important for us is that it's inclusive of everybody in our community at various levels. Well, guess what? Different socioeconomics all eat at Chick-fil-A.
So they're a great place to gather.
If you are coming from a rural community, they eat at Chick-fil-A. If you're coming from an urban community, they eat at Chick-fil-A. This is helping us tell that message of community health at a place that most people would write off and say, well, they don't have good, healthy food. Well, they have great, healthy options, and they care about the upstream things that help produce health for a community of 31,000 or 75,000 in our county. And I think that feeling, that interaction, every time you meet with Jeff or his staff, you get that exact same sense that is being expressed on a global brand. The thing that was amazing, this is the second time it's happened. When I was at the Regional Food Bank of Oklahoma, I said, hey, our volunteer center needs good customer service. We brought in Chick-fil-A. The first words that come out of his mouth at Chick-fil-A, we're trained that all leadership starts with love. Love for your customer, love for your team.
So good.
And it was amazing that global brand had legs on the ground being brought into a local nonprofit, helping us do better the way Chick-fil-A does it. And they're not even just serving chicken. It's so much more than chicken. I think when values are more than your product, that means that you're producing the type of progress that we talk about at Hawks Agency.
And the science is there. When values are at the forefront of the why in an organization's training and the language, there are better performers. Standards of excellence are upheld at a higher rate. And not only that, and I always say it's a bonus, but it really is central that people are more fulfilled. And the more fulfilled people are, the more likely they are to stay, the more meaning they find in their day in and day out, and the better humans we produce.
Well, you were talking about how their mission statement is, it's not just about chicken. Weren't you saying there's two different sides?
Yeah, eat more chicken, inspire more people.
So they do both. But listen, this really isn't a conversation about Chick-fil-A.
It's about values.
It's about the values. And what you had said, a little bit ago was that values will cost you. Or John said it, or whoever said it, however we said it. That idea that that's how we know that we hold them to be truly valuable. It's like, well, if there's a cost to it, and Chick-fil-A over the years have gotten criticized, have gotten loved, have gotten hated, have continued to evolve. Definitely more than any QSR restaurant out there of like a perspective towards them because of their values.
Yes.
So it's a very interesting. So I'd be curious to people listening. That idea is a business. What does it cost you to have your values? Like that really separates then that we respect people, we have integrity, our values are we're kind. Like, well, what does it cost you to have those values?
Right.
Because that's what makes them valuable. You got skin in the game on what we believe, and it's not everybody has the exact same personal values, but organizationally we've aligned around these things matter to us, and we'll make decisions out of these. We'll respond to our critics and our community out of these. And I'm just curious, who else works in places where it's like our values cause us to be distinct? Because when we stand by them, they can be misinterpreted, they can be misunderstood, or you can disagree with them in how they play out.
And those values are still the same. It says you might disagree. These are our values.
Yeah.
You always tell us, talk about this, Greg, is values are the lens by which we make decisions. So that means not everyone's going to always agree with those decisions, but that is us. That is distinct about us.
Yeah. And what is really great is the idea of we can keep learning.
Right.
Your values, just because you come to a new understanding, it doesn't mean I have to believe different for me to go, I appreciate and see that perspective I didn't have before. Let me take these values and enlarge what they mean, not shrink or have to divert from them.
Totally agree.
That's what I see happening. So that's it. Monica, any final thoughts for our folks around values, progress? Do we want them to compel, to respond?
Read Fast Company.
Read Fast Company's
I'm sure we'll put it in whatever we post this on.
Yeah.
We'll put the Fast Company article there as well.
And if you want to have a better day today, then consider your values. And whatever decision you're about to make or you need to make, check in with your values.
That's good. We'll leave you with that.
Let's do it.